so I can tweak it. Hi, I'm Mason from WMD. We're here at NAMM 2018, and I'm here to show you our new multi-particle percussion synthesizer, our new drum module, the Fracture. So the Fracture is a stereo module, drum module, and we're calling it a multi-particle percussion synthesizer, meaning it's sample-based, but uses a lot of micro samples and places them together in a cloud to create large bursts. So it has, drawing from our previous drum module, the Chimera, we start with what we call surfaces, which is the core of the samples. Each surface represents different materials, and the surfaces are groups of samples that are arranged together, but they're groups. There's multiple samples per group when you select a surface. The engine takes these samples and arranges them from dense clouds that decay into less dense. There are 3 decay types. So there's the decay envelope. The first one we're listening to right now, as it plays, it generates particles and at a constant rate, and an amplitude envelope is applied to decay. So what we end up with is a relatively tight sound. As we move the tail switch over, we're going to change the parameters that the decay envelope is applied to. So right now we're on just amplitude. In the center, it's amplitude and the likelihood that a particle will be produced. So as you start to decay, you'll get a sloppier and sloppier tail. And you can adjust the density, the amount of particles that are produced in that time with the density knob. So in the center mode, it's amplitude and likelihood that a particle will be produced. All the way to the right, it's just the likelihood. So what we end up with is very distinct claps where we have the ability to adjust the density or the amount of particles that are produced in a burst. We have a number of surfaces from metallic switches to people snapping, people clapping, ping pong balls, metallic, scissors. We have a lot of content in there. Moving along, since we're producing particle bursts, our idea was to go for something that could do claps. And a clap decays towards white noise. So we have this spread knob which assigns semi-random pitches to each of the particles that are produced in your clap. So all the way to the left, spread, all of the particles that are produced have the same pitch. As you spread more and more, the pitches spread, which kind of becomes more white noise. Moving down from spread, we have the frequency control. The frequency control changes depending on where punch is set. So right now in the all the way left setting of punch, frequency controls a bandpass filter. As we move over, the center position controls the bandpass filter and also controls the center pitch, so the starting pitch of all of the particles. At the right, we double up on the bandpass filter for emphasis. It also controls the pitch. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is a stereo module. Most of the stereo comes from our reverb. The reverb has two settings, loosely named R and H for room and hall. Hall to the right. And room to the left. Finally, as I touched on with the decay control, the density is the likelihood and the closeness of particles being produced to each other. So you get a more dense cloud, less spread out individual impulses as you turn that up. Our inspiration for the way this works was the classic analog clap circuit, and wanting to be able to create applause with a module. Not on the knobs, we have an individual pitch input, and that it takes over the frequency setting. So if you plug into pitch, you have complete control over the pitch separate from the filters. It also has two other trigger inputs, one that we call tick and one called infinite. And I think it's better if I just show you how those sound. So tick is triggering just a single impulse from the engine, where the trigger triggers the burst, like multiple impulses at the same time. The other input, infinite, allows the fracture to run as an oscillator. In the oscillator mode, decay actually controls the likelihood that an impulse will play. And again, density controls their frequency to each other. If you look at the trig and tick inputs, in between them it's marked ACC, and that stands for accent. So you can still get your proper accented hits, which really gives you a lot of variation if you just sequence trig and tick. Anytime they hit at the same time, you'll get an accented hit. Because we are generating particle clouds, we don't want all of them to sound the same. So each of the knobs affects a number of semi-random parameters that are tied to the engine. So sometimes very subtle knob changes can change the entire sound, really. So that's our new drum module, the Fracture. We'll be announcing a release date in the next month, so look out for it.